and welcome to upgrading to Unreal 4.12. In fact, I need to update the top right of these slides moving forward to indicate that we will be using 4.12 from here on. So that's what we're going to be doing, upgrading to 4.12. We will also be removing our versions of 4.10 and 4.11 to free up lots of space on our disk and upgrading both projects like this. So see you in there. So I don't know if this is happening for you, but when I open my projectile blueprint now, since the end of the last video, just a few minutes ago, the blueprint is not working properly. It doesn't matter what I do with the menus, I can't get all the blueprint information up. It's not a general problem with the blueprint editor because it is fine for the tank. So I've tried a few things to sort this out, and the thing that I found worked most effectively was just opening the project in Unreal 4.12. So that's what we're going to do, learn a little bit about source control and also upgrade all our projects to Unreal 4.12. So I'm going to start with Building Escape. The first thing I want to do is make sure that my current state of my project on the disk is in the correct place. So I have some what we call uncommitted changes here. That means there are some changes to the repository since I last worked on it. And the head tells me what my current disk state is. So I'm checked out at applying materials, plus there are a few changes since then. That's not what I want. I want, before I do my upgrade, to start where I left off. Now, I left off on BE44, as I call it, the section wrap-up video. Then I just updated the README file, so that's where I want to be. An easy way to get there is to use something called Stash. This Stash button just saves all of these changes so that you could get back to them if you wanted to, and then checks you out in the last place, which is now the correct place. We are here, checked out on master. If we just say check out master to be sure, you can see now that we are nearly at the top of master. What it's telling us here is that my current disk state is here at BE44, but at origin, i.e. on my remote repository, which is up on GitHub, I've updated a README. So what I want to do to get there is this little arrow here says I need to pull that down. That means I made a change on another computer, and I haven't currently brought that down to here. Great. Now we're all in line. The master branch, the origin master, and the head of origin I don't really care about. Okay, so now my local file system actually has this README file in it. We could just have a look at that, for instance. We could go to the repos, we could go to Battletank, back to Unreal, Building Escape, and there's the README MD file. And what would also be prudent would be to quickly open the Building Escape project. It should open up in the version of Unreal it's associated with, which is 4.10 here. Make sure that we are exactly in the place we want to be before we go ahead and do our project upgrade, because you don't want to go upgrading a project in a state that's not where you want to start from. So there it is, it's working, and it seems to be fine. Okay, great. So given that that's where we're starting from, I'm going to write my commit message before I even make this upgrade, because it's a very good habit actually to get into, to write commit messages before you do your piece of work. Then when you're deep into something, you can think, what on earth am I doing? So this is very simply upgrade project to 4.12. Okay, I'm not going to commit that yet, but that's what I intend to do. Now, how do we get it to 4.12? What you're going to need to do, if you haven't already got 4.12.3 or later, you click Add Versions, and it should come up in the list. But I don't want that, so I'm just going to remove that. I've got 4.12.3 here, so if I go ahead and launch that, while it's launching, notice that these other projects tell you the version number, 4.10, 4.11. Okay, so the editor's going to launch. Then we're going to need to, in 4.12, open Building Escape. Now, it's going to give you a choice. It was made with a different version. Do you want to convert it or open a copy? Okay, well, I want to go to More Options and Convert in Place. There's more options at the bottom left, then Convert in Place. Because I have this project under source control, I'm not worried about it breaking it. The reason they're being cautious is if you were developing a larger game, you're a year or two into production, Unreal drop a new version, the last thing you want to do is just suddenly convert your project without being very sure that it's going to work in the new system. It may create you weeks or months of work to convert. So they are quite cautious about upgrading. Normally, you would think very carefully before upgrading to a new major version halfway through a project. But I have it under source control here. It's a very small project, so I'm going to convert this project in place, as they call it. If we look in source control now that it's doing that at the master branch, we should probably see some changes on the disk already. There's a bunch of stuff here, not much actually, hardly anything to be honest. It's just changed the engine association there, which is the thing that determines which engine version it opens with when it opens, and a few other things in the solution files. So let's check we're in 4.12. Help, about Unreal Editor, and you can see that we are in 4.12. Great. Now let's just play the game, make sure that that behaves. It does appear to. I'm just going to make sure I can pick things up, drop them down. Playtesting this game, of course, is very easy because it's a very small game. There we go, and I can get out the door and fall to my death. Hardly worth the escape. Okay, so it all looks good. I'm going to close everything up. I already know what my commit message is going to be, so I stage my changes, go to commit, there it is, ready to go, and I'm going to push that up to Origin, which means I've connected to GitHub and I'm just sending it to the cloud. And that is that. That is that project updated. Fantastic. So now let's open the next repository along, which is going to be the Battle Tank, because Bulls and Cows was not a Unreal project, if you remember. Okay, so the last thing I did was setting up projectiles. Again, we have more state changes since then, so I'm going to stash those. They go on the left-hand side here on the stashes. It means you're not throwing it away, but you're immediately keeping it on the side, as it were, and you're then able to continue your work from where you left off. So this is the right place to be. Now we go to the Epic Games Launcher, launch 4.12.3. Now I'm expecting, by the way, this Building Escape Association to change here. I think we may need to just relaunch the Epic Games Launcher for that to say 4.12. We'll check all that at the end. So it's saying, what do I want to open? Well, I'm saying I want to open Building Escape Battle Tank, which is a 4.11 version game. I'm going to click More Options and Convert in Place. Again, because we're under source control, we're all good. Yes, that is an Oculus Rift logo we see over there. Sorry if you're jealous, but we have to have them. It's part of our work. We have to buy them. We have to expense claim them. It's a terrible, terrible thing, but has to be done. Got to teach you guys VR somehow. In fact, 4.12 that we're using now, not only is it very easy to preview your game in VR, which you could in the previous version, but you can actually build levels in VR. I haven't got that working because I haven't got the Oculus Touch hand controllers yet, but don't worry, the moment I have, I'll be showing you level building in VR in Unreal, which is wicked. All right, so here comes 4.12.3 spooling up now with the project. And what we're going to be able to do is free up about 20 or 30 gigabytes of disk space shortly. Okay, now check you know which version you're in. About Unreal Editor 4.12. Cool. Play the game. Make sure that what we've got works. Fantastic. Let's just go to the main menu. Make sure we can play it from there. Start. Oh, what on earth was that? They were tanks flying off into the distance. Do you see that? That was quite a lot of fun. Those other tanks that we put down, boom, what is going on there? So, what's happened is we have upgraded to 4.12, but we have a couple of issues. So before I go any further, I'm just going to check that this blueprint actually opens, because that was the point of doing this. Looks a bit funny, but if you click Open Full Blueprint Editor, all is good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit this upgrade now, because we have upgraded, but we have an issue. Okay, so with Unreal closed, I'm going to commit and say upgrade to 4.12. And I'm just going to say that the tanks fly off. And push that to master. Actually, I won't push it to master because master is my branch for this particular video. So I'm going to hold off committing. But in your case, you would probably want to commit at this stage so that you can go back, so that while you work on the fix of the tanks flying off, you can always roll back to this bit. You don't have to keep re-upgrading your project. I hope that makes sense. But I'm just going to not commit and just try and fix it in line like this. So why are our tanks flying off? My first suspicion about why they're flying off, if I could open the right project, let's do it from the Epic Games Launcher. Let's recycle this Epic Games Launcher now, because it's making me nervous that these are the wrong versions. So if you just close and reopen the Epic Games Launcher, I would have thought that by the end of that, it will reread those editor preference or those engine version files and actually update those thumbnails. Let's see if that's the case. 4.12 on both, you see. So now, by the way, you can remove these other engine versions in the back here. 4.10.4, you can uninstall, and 4.11.2 you can uninstall. You need to do that with Unreal closed, and I don't really need to show you that. But the idea at the end of this will be to uninstall those versions. All right, I'm going to guess that these tanks fly off just because they're colliding in the start. So if I lift each tank just a little bit further off the ground and try playing, what happens? Fine. That's what it was. So there's slightly different collision tolerances or something in 4.12, and that was causing them to fly off. So if you just move your tanks a bit, we've got some glitches now. You see them kind of funkily jumping around? Well, we can sort those out in upcoming videos, but let's stick with this and commit it that we have funky dancing tanks, but at least they're not flying off. So that's good enough for this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Your challenge to leave you with is to upgrade both projects to 4.12 if you haven't done it already. Building Escape, test and commit. Battle Tank, test and commit. And then remove your previous versions of Unreal as I explained. Finally, consider deleting other Vault local content. Just to tell you what that is, here in the Epic Games Launcher, if you scroll down, you've got Vault, and if you've got a big demo project, you can click and remove local content. All of this will free up lots of space on your disk. So I am going to close Unreal, and I am going to start those uninstalls going. You have to have Unreal fully closed. There you go. And that's the uninstall going ahead, and do the same with 4.11.2, and I will see you in the next video.